Hey, 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 welcome on in. Hello. Hi, my girls. Lovely to be here with you again. I appreciate you for joining me. And this is one where I'm doing my nails. These are gloves to protect the skin. So I'm Shiron Duna, author of Date Like Cleopatra, The Good Girl Flips the Script. And today we're talking about attachment styles. We are not only talking about them, but we are trying to figure out how to secure them. This one will have 8 points for you to learn how to secure your attachment style, whatever that style may be. So, like, subscribe, and tell a friend. Now we get into it. So, we're speaking about both anxious and avoidant attachment styles because I say I was doubly blessed to have had access to the two. To It's called the disorganized attachment style, so where you're both anxious and avoidant. So picking from that, the things I've learned how to move away from it, and to say, if you're both actually anxious and avoidant, let's start there, because there's such little information out there about special people like us. How you turn up is going to depend greatly on the partner that you're with. Whether if they are anxious, they shall spark out your avoidant tendencies. If they are avoidant, they shall spark off your anxious tendencies. So you need to be on the lookout for that. And in all this conversation, especially for you, my anxious avoidant friend, it is super important for you to ask yourself questions at the point of entering into a relationship. When you're there at the threshold, when you're considering this guy as a potential partner, as someone to do something with, you need to ask yourself a lot of questions, because we have the secure people. The secure people, all of this touch on communication, how you communicate. So the anxious person brings out a neediness, the avoidant person brings up a wall and some distance, but the secure person knows how to communicate their needs and wants. They know that their self value is not dependent on what this other person pushes towards them. I'm doing very poorly on doing my nails. I do realize that I talk a lot with my hands. So how do I put that aside? Let me do that. I'll put that aside for now. I'll do my nails after we finish with this little session. I had it all set up here nicely, but anyway, let's do it that way. So if you're anxious avoidant, in fact, whatever you are, if you're anxious avoidant, anxious, avoidant, the best person for you to hang out with is the secure. The secure people are apparently a good portion of the population. So getting together with a secure person will help you most. But in either case, you do need to work on your attachment style. You do need to not be this heavy burden that this person is has to deal with. Working on your own attachment style becomes your own project, because we're talking about self-improvement for you. So we started by saying that the person you date is critical. Early on, determine why you're dating them and flush out avoidant issues. When you're avoidant, what happens is you are not consciously aware of it, but you get into relationships sometimes already looking for the way out, even from the very get go. The reason you get into that relationship is because you know it will end. I am guilty of this. This is something that I've done. And we say that we don't blame people. We don't blame your attachment style. If you are avoidant, if you are anxious, if you are secure, these come from things which are really beyond you. And you don't need to blame yourself for showing up in the way that you do show up. But then it becomes your responsibility to grow, to see it and try to do something about it. The second thing to think about is, how do they make you feel? This flushes out anxious insecurities. How do they make you feel when you're with this person that you're considering dating? How do you actually feel inside? Do you feel the need to? Is there something about them that makes you overly anxious? Because what often happens is that the anxious and the avoidant people are attracted to each other, and this is really not great. because the anxious is trying to lean in excessively and the avoidant is leaning out excessively. So the anxious then feels that they need to keep chasing, and the avoidant then feels that they need to keep running away. So if you are into the bad boy kind of thing, these are things that you need to look at internally. Take internally within yourself. Have an inner growth, uh, inner work kind of dimension where you're working out at these things that attract you to these people in the first place. But today we are talking about how to work on securing your attachment style. And I just had a note here that I want to point out. It says that the motivation for being drawn to him may not consciously be known to you. It could be your anxious and avoidant tendencies or anxious avoidant tendencies that have put you in the space of a particular human being. And it is good for you to have to build the muscle of having these conversations with yourself to understand what your motivation is. Yeah. And again, because it is not known to you consciously, you then need to just look at patterns and just see that, aha, this is a pattern that I keep carrying on in my life. And when you do that, when you are so aware of the reasons where you're entering, at least you're even questioning them at the point of entering into them, then you reduce your fail rate. If all you've ever done is gone out with one particular kind of person and it never works out, then you're able to see it. And then you save yourself from entering into yet another situation that would have been in the same path. So, how? How do you secure your attachment style? How we're doing this is that we are dividing them into things for the anxious person to do and things for the avoidant person to do. We'll do them one. Yes. So we start with, look back at your dating experience and decide you want a change. This is super important. It's tied to what I was saying just now, that it's 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 one thing to keep going back into the same pattern. And it's something that can happen, falling back into the same pattern over and over again. But take that accountability. You need to see that you are a big piece in this equation. The relationships that you end up in have a lot to do with you. You are the constant. So, from that perspective, take on the power and dissect them. Dissect them. I took like a whole, it took me 2 days to do this activity. It's like a whole sheet of paper. I did it on Excel. Or did I think I've done it twice. So once in writing and once on Excel, looking at all the people I've dated and then trying to understand. In that case, I was trying to understand attachment styles. What was theirs? What was mine? How did this situation work out? How did I feel when I was there? And it was actually from this activity, which I got from the book Attached, that brought out to me that I was both anxious and avoidant. I had no idea. I was sure I was secure in my attachment style. But based on this information, I was able to look back and understand that, aha, in this case, the person that I was seeing was avoidant, and that brought out an anxious piece of me. In this case, they were anxious, that brought out an avoidant part of me. And it was interesting because I also saw it in other parts of life. So not just in dating relationships, but it does stem up in different things. And for me, it was really, really powerful. I'm very interested in understanding myself better. And then that became very powerful because I feel empowered if I know that this is how you show up. You're not always aware of it, but this is how you show up in certain circumstances. Then I can notice it when it is happening, and I can course correct, whether before or after the fact. Sometimes it's after the fact. Sometimes I act and then only later realize that this thing that I've done is based on this past experience. But then seeing it, I say, is always the first thing. Once you're able to see it, you can deal with it because you know what's in front of you. If you don't know what is happening, you're just blind. You just continue living life in a daze. You could be hurting people. You could be getting hurt, and you don't realize that you are playing such a central role in the experience that you're having. So have the courage. And then you need to decide. It's a real decision. And the decision point is the one that makes the difference. It's one thing to see what has been happening, but it's another thing to actually say that I want something different. I am deserving and I am ready to do what it takes to have something different. Once you make that decision point, these other things become much more easier to you because it's your own conviction that you're dealing with. You're not doing any of this for the benefit of anyone else but yourself, and you're being accountable to yourself. Okay, speak up. So if you're anxious, the remedy to that is you need to learn how to communicate your needs in an everyday environment. So you don't need to wait to be dating. You don't need to wait to have met Mr. Perfect, who you're out with. In the bus, I see this happening every once in a while when the bus driver forgets to open the door for people to get out. And are you there timidly hoping that someone will say it for you, or do you just sit quietly and wait for the next stop where he will go? Do you raise your voice, or do you ask someone to help you? Yeah. So standing up for your own rights, speaking up, it's not easy. I'll say that it's not easy when you've had a practice all your life of not doing so. But then once you learn how to do this with the small things, with the smallest of things, start small. Start small but be consistent. When there's something that is not going your way, say something about it. And don't beat yourself up when you don't. Take it as a learning for next time. Say and look at what happened in that situation. If something happened where you did not feel that you could speak up, um, have a conversation internally. Try to understand what you were feeling. Where did it take you back to in time? At what point in time is it that you were not able to speak up, that you were beaten for saying something? Then tell your inner child that you're not there anymore. You can now speak up. It's okay. The person who beat you isn't here no more. You can stand up for yourself in the small things. And once you start standing up in the small things, you come to realize that the world is not such a mean place. Yeah. You realize that you are allowed to have the space to occupy it. You are important. Small things. We're just saying start small. And once you have the practice, because it's a muscle you're building, once you have the practice of speaking up for yourself, you'll be able to speak up once you're in a relationship. Mm. On the avoidance side, we say stop running. Face difficult situations head on, no matter how uncomfortable that is. Being avoidant, yeah, I have found myself in situations where I run away, and you're not consciously aware of it. You just decide that this is not you. You decide that this space doesn't work for you, but then you don't give people a chance to speak. You don't communicate. You just shut it down. Shut it down. For you, it's like it's like I want to say burning bridges, but that's not exactly what I mean. It's like either you shall have the window open in the upstairs or burn down the house. No middle ground. No. And that's what you need to see it in yourself. My heart goes out for the avoidance because it is really difficult for us to realize that there is an avoidant tendency within us. We feel that this is how the way we are, this is how we're meant to be. And doing the exercise I mentioned before of listing down the relationships you've been in and seeing how they went, that could help. It helped me. And you could also just see how you show up when you're shutting people down or stopping certain activities or quitting jobs or whatever it is that you're severing ties with. Take the time as well to ponder the why before you take that step and say no or move or whatever it is that you're going to do. Introspect. Go look within yourself. Go look deep within yourself and see if you can find the tie to the motivation. It's usually through a process of many whys. Why am I doing this? And why is that the answer I give to that? And why? They say ask at least 5 whys. And maybe that will get you back to the original point if you're able to be honest enough with yourself. If you don't have these, what are they called? Thought terminating cliches, because that's just the way it's meant to be. No. When you say something like that, then that's just closing the door to the conversation altogether. No. Look through the processes of the whys, and it's possible that this could tie you back to the initial point again. The initial point when you felt that you had to run away. It could be something that happened in your childhood where you felt that you were not safe, and the thing that you needed to do to keep yourself safe was to maybe physically run away. Yeah. Okay. Consume content or hang around people who have security in their communication style. This is for both the anxious and the avoidant. You might not know that it exists. I like that point. You might not be aware that secure communication is an option. So look out for the programs that you watch, the media that you consume. Seek some out that show people who communicate securely, especially men, because in terms from a relationship dynamic, if you find a relationship where the man is able to communicate from a secure perspective, then it becomes a possibility. If it's not something that you have seen modeled in your own life, then it becomes something that exists. You're creating it from thin air. And once it exists within your experience, even if it's just on TV, even if it's acted out, it becomes something that is possible. And if you can manage to find people who are secure, that's really the icing on the cake. Hang around them. Hang around them because they are regulating you. Hanging around someone who has a secure communication style that makes you again realize that it is possible, but then it draws you in. And even if it's not someone you're dating, it draws you into introspect. If they have space for what it is that you're saying and how it is that you're saying it, you will also seek out to become more like them, because it's very attractive. It's very attractive to have someone who doesn't fly off the handle when something goes wrong and are able to stand up for themselves and state what it is that they have an issue with. Then again, introspection, you'd be able to see what it is about them that you admire and seek to create it within yourself. That was number 4. Number 5 is, erase the good girl. This is for the one with the anxious attachment style. People pleasing and related behaviors because you don't want him to see the real you and leave. That is manipulative. It sounds very harsh. I appreciate that. Being a good girl, you do not see yourself as manipulative. The things that you're doing are for the best of all, they're for the best of everyone. So you do not show up as yourself. You try to please him. You try to do the things that you think he wants to do. You go for the football match because he enjoys football. And this is something I did. I started watching, I can't remember what the team was. It's that bad because the guy I was dating at the time really loved that team and spent a lot of time. So I don't mind football, but I don't watch team based. I watch the World Cup, but in this case, then I was there in the Champions League watching everything that's going on. I had an idea. I was watching all the matches because he liked it, and I was trying to ingratiate myself to him to show him that, look, I'm also like you. I like the things that you like. I please the inner message is almost, please don't leave me. I am worthy of someone like you liking me because I like the things that you like. So I erased myself thinking that that would make him feel better. It didn't. It never does. Why? Because the things that draw people to you initially are your own personality. So if you erase your own personality to become a blank canvas for something else, for someone else to mirror someone else, they didn't want to date themselves. They wanted what was unique about you. That's what brought them to you. I was actually told this once by someone I used to date. Yeah, this was real feedback. They told me that initially I used to be in a certain way, but then I changed, and that they were drawn to that initial me. At the time, I wasn't able to absorb it, but now I truly understand. And you get to appreciate people who can tell you things like that. It's not, if you have the if you work on yourself and are able to take in the feedback, then you can hear it as what it is. It is saying, bring back you. You are precious, you are important. I want the you that is at the heart of you, not this apparition that you've created. No. Everyone. And so there's something that when I say that it's manipulative, it is because the reason you are playing out this facade is to keep him. So that is the manipulative part. You are not showing up as yourself. You're pretending to be someone else so that he can stay. And this is the anxious part of you that feels needy, that needs him to be there. And then in doing that, you can't keep it up. It's not possible to keep it up for the life of the relationship. So then at some point you stop acting. And then he'd wonder what happened to her. I thought you liked football. And you're saying, no, you idiot. I never liked it. It was for you. And he's wondering why. Who are you then? Yeah. Tough ones. Tough. All right. For my avoidance, bring down the wall. That's a tough one, eh? Bring down the wall. As an avoidant, what you do is that you build up a wall around you, some form of security. You don't want the people to get into the real you. You just want to have them deal with this outer facade because you're protecting yourself from hurt. As have you seek out a feeling of safety. If you don't know what this feels like, experiment until you find something or someone that resonates as safe to you. Practice being vulnerable when you feel safe. Safe. Take baby steps. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, these are notes I was just taking. So yeah, one, because they sound like really big things. But telling someone who's avoidant to bring down the wall might as well tell them to become someone else. They probably know to some extent. If you're avoidant, you're probably aware that you have a wall, because there are just certain things that you say that no, 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 you want people to keep a certain distance from you. The reason we look into safety is that what the wall is doing is that it's protecting you. If you can find situations and people where you already feel safe, then you do not need to add an additional layer to protect you. You can be yourself and it will be safe. And being yourself in this case is the vulnerability, allowing yourself to show the real you. Allow yourself to be there, to dip your toe, dip your toe as the person that you actually are, without thinking that it shall be rejected. Yeah. The next one we have here is for our anxious people, and the message is say no. Learning how to say no. The example I've created, I like this one. The example I have here, because we hear this a lot, so say no, say no, say no. I have here, create boundaries within yourself. So before we experiment this externally and tell other people no, create habits. Learn how to create habits. Form a new habit, something that you want to do. Form a new habit. It could be learning a new practice, it could be exercising, it could be whatever it is that you already want to do. Form a habit around it. And we mean start small, not forget about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro when you're from the couch to Kilimanjaro's heights. No, let's not do it that way. Find something really small that you want to do. It could be waking up 10 minutes earlier. Just wake up 10 minutes earlier. Then form the habit, create the environment that enables you to do that. That could be, if it's waking up 10 minutes earlier, that could be putting the alarm clock in another room. Then you're forced to go wake up to put it off. Then why would you go back to bed if you've already had to move? It could be small things or whatever, excuse me, whatever little habit it is that you want to form, and reward yourself when you get it right. So instead of punishing yourself for getting it wrong, reward yourself for getting it right. Again, the reward could look any kind of way. It could be 5 minutes of more social media time. It could be anything that you want it to be. And then this builds a certain confidence within yourself where you have a trust. It builds a trust. You trust yourself. You do the things that you say that you are going to do. And your body gains trust in you. You can then expect others to live up to their word. It's not an unknown concept. It's something that you have seen because you have practiced it within yourself. Then it becomes something that you can expect from others, even though you might not have had the experience of it before. Yeah. That was 7. We come to our last one, and this is to be seen for our avoidance. Release one thing that you hide about yourself. Ooh. This is a good one. One thing that you hide about yourself. It could be anything, something that you possibly have a stock of things that you do not want people to know about you. And once you're out and about in the wild outside, it could be the thing that comes to mind is sucking in your tummy. This is something I used to do for such a long time. And they used to say it was good for your muscles. And maybe it is good for your muscles. But the reason that I was doing it was because I was trying to hide a part of me. And then I decided that I wanted to be seen. So I stopped sucking in my tummy. And the funny thing, these things people hardly notice. It's something that was consuming so much of my energy because wherever I was, I always had to have my tummy sucked in. And I released it. And then I felt, how did it feel? It felt strange actually at first because can they, am I just allowed to show people my tummy as it is? Then you realize, first of all, everyone's body is their body. Everyone has these different kinds of thoughts about their bodies, the things they like and they dislike. And no one's spending that much energy or attention on you. So then I felt empowered actually, because I felt that I was allowing myself to be seen. I was allowing myself to show up just as I am without excuses and without apologies. And it was really nice. It was really beautiful. This validates you to you and creates a message that the real you is acceptable. You are acceptable just the way you are. You do not need to hide. So find one small thing, just one. In this activities, we start small. We don't start with the huge image at the end. We start small, and when you do this, it then all of this will snowball for a relationship. In effect, because these are things that you practice and practice and practice over and over again. So the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you are creating within you this resilience. You're creating a strength. You're creating a muscle where you've learned how to do these things. And based on that, when you are then in a relationship, if you're avoidant, you are not as concerned about being seen. You will allow yourself to be seen. If you're anxious, you're not people pleasing. You're not there being the doormat for whatever the guy wants. If you are avoidant, you're not running. You're not always just looking for the escape strategy out of this relationship. You're giving it space to actually flourish as a relationship. And you are also speaking up, because that also ties, a lot of these actually tie in back to back. You are speaking up and standing up for yourself instead of running away. So I hope this has been helpful. I love doing this one, and it's beautiful for me because I have had the experience from both sides. If you are anxious avoidant, this one is actually also for you. You need to do all of them. And I wish you well. Thank you, gorgeous, for joining me. I wish you well. I wish you the practice, and I wish you love for yourself.